Hey guys, welcome to Home Sweet Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I'm a homeschooling mom to one. And in today's video, we're going to be answering the question that I see all the time. What is the difference between year 1, year 2, and year 3 units from Gather Round Homeschool? I see this asked multiple times a week when I'm on their Facebook page, when I'm in their app, because it can be confusing. So today I'm going to try my best to answer that question. And what I'm going to do is just kind of show you what I have, and we'll kind of go from there. So I did have to take some notes because I don't want to miss anything, and I may still miss something that you have noticed is a difference when you're doing the units, so you'll just have to let me know. But here's the thing, this is our 3rd year with Gather Round. Like, we are wrapping up this year. We have used it for 3 years. We have done lots of units and we still have a lot more that we want to do. So I feel like I know a little bit about Gather Round. And if you have any questions, if I don't answer them today in this video, you can always ask me down in the comments and I'll be happy to answer and talk to you about it. So first things first, something you need to know, when we speak of year 1, year 2, or year 3, when anybody speaks of it, all that really means is that that's the year that that unit was written. So Gather Round Homeschool is a new company. I mean, this is its 3rd year. So when they talk about a unit being a year 1 unit, a year 2 unit, or a year 3 unit, really all they're saying is that's the year that they wrote that unit. Okay, so don't get really hung up on that. Now, there are some differences in year 1, year 2, and year 3, and we're going to talk about that today. But year 1, year 2, year 3 does not mean that you have to go in that order. You can honestly jump in at any year on any unit and you can go from there. So don't be worried about that when you go to pick a unit. If you have a child who is interested in a year 2 unit and this is your first time, go for it. You do not have to go in order. All right, let me make sure that I have that. Also, if you're new to Gather Round is all of your subjects because it's a unit study except for math. So you would need to add math. Now, one thing I'm not going to talk about on here is the letters and numbers and the ready to read. I have no experience with that. My son is 13, and so we have not used that, and I cannot help you with that. I don't know anything about that. I'm just talking about the full units, okay? So this may be a long video, just bear with me, okay? So one thing you need to know about Gather Round, because it is a fairly new homeschool curriculum, it is ever evolving. It is always changing. They're always listening to what its users are saying. If they need more of something, less of something, they really listen to your feedback and they value your feedback. And you can see that in the way that the units are changing. So you will notice as you start going through some of the units how different they are. And that's what we're going to cover today. So first we're going to start with year 1. So that was their first year that they started putting out units. Of course, the units are written by different people, so really each teacher's guide kind of has its own feel anyway. So these are all my opinions. When I say things, I want you to know this is just from being a user of the curriculum. Honestly, with the year 1 units, I feel like they are just a little bit textbook-like. Now, that's not to say that they're not good. They're very wordy. There's a lot of information in them. And it almost felt kind of textbook-like. That's just my opinion. You may have a different opinion of it. I don't know. And it wasn't every unit. It was just some of the units. The one that was probably the hardest for us to get through was human body. It was really just over my son's head at the time when we did this. Now, that doesn't mean that this is not a great unit, because it is, and we learned a lot from it. But it was very, very wordy, okay? So that's just my opinion. Still great units, a little bit wordy, okay? So another thing you might want to know about year 1 is that the language arts, so that's grammar and everything that encompasses language arts, is really just scattered is like without thought. It is just throughout the entire unit, okay? So when you, and I'm sorry, this one's apart because this was a long time ago that we did this one. But I do want to show you. So like on page 16 for lesson 1, you have some poetry. And then in lesson 2, you do a little bit of grammar and it's apostrophe possession. And so what they kind of heard, I keep saying we, like I'm them, I'm not them. What they kind of heard after year one is there's just really not enough grammar. It's not that there isn't enough language arts, because there is. There's writing, there's poetry, there's communication. It was the grammar, I think, that people were really missing. So the language arts does look different. Does it mean that it's not good? No. But you can just, if you look through it, you're going to notice a change in the language arts. It is a little bit different from the other years, because it is just kind of all throughout here, and it's just grammar's like touched on here and there, okay? Okay, so for copywork and spelling, that was a little bit different. Let me see if I can find a page of that. I wish I'd already pulled this out, but I did not think about it. And it may not even be in this one. That's a good... Okay, let me just show you this. And I put a big X on it. I guess we didn't do the copywork. We don't always do the copywork and spelling. But in the year one units, the copywork and the spelling were built into it. So one of the pages in the notebook, they would do their copywork, and their spelling would be down here in the bottom. And it was one spelling word for the week. And so, of course, people are writing in like, we need more spelling. We got to beef up that spelling. So I'll show you what they did with year two with the spelling. But this is kind of what it looked like for year one in most of the units. Your copywork and spelling were just kind of built in to your student notebook pages. And one thing I noticed is the student notebook pages were pretty similar from unit to unit. We were kind of just doing the same thing. The notebooking page didn't look very different. It wasn't varied from unit to unit. And so that could be kind of bland for some people. It worked okay for us, but that was one of the things that I did notice about year one. Let me see what else. Okay, so they did start adding recipe books for year one for the continent units. So that was something new. So you do need to look at year one and year two to find the recipe books for those. That was something that was added. The other thing that I want to talk about for year one is they did start, now this is a year two unit, don't look at that, but this is the only cursive that I purchased from them. They did start cursive notebooks with year one, and if your child is beginning cursive, never done cursive before, you'll want to start them at the North American Birds cursive. I think the first 3 books are beginner, and then after that, it is the copywork and the spelling. Okay, so you'll see like, so this has got some character traits, it's got dictation, and it has scripture tracing. Now, from my understanding, the cursive notebooks, like past the first 3, they are all for upper elementary. They're set to the upper elementary spelling words and the upper elementary copywork, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me if you have a kid in a different level. But I think they fixed that with the Seatwork Journal. So I just want you to be aware of that. When you order cursive for one of those past units, you're probably not getting it for the level that you need. I think they only made like 1 level past that. So this is the only one we bought, and then we stopped doing cursive because my son's 13. We're not doing cursive anymore. All right. I think that's all for year one. All right, let's talk about year two. So I really felt like with every unit, it just kept getting better and better. Now, I will say North American Birds was probably my favorite. That's the one I'm still talking about, but I feel like the units just got better as they went. So one thing you're going to notice about year two is in the teacher's guide, you start with a prayer. So this was not something that was in the year one units. And you're going to start your day with a prayer. So that is nice. That's a good way I'm looking at this book to make sure I'm correct. And I believe I am, yes. The year two, start with a prayer. So if you like that kind of thing and you want to start your day off like that, you've got that with the year two units. Now, as far as the teacher's guides, they did get better. They got more enjoyable to read. They also did not feel quite as long as the ones from year one. That may just be my opinion. You can let me know what you think, but I really felt like reading it out loud to my son, it was just better when they got to year two. So that was great. That was a good change, right? Language arts. Language arts changed a little bit with the year two. And you're going to notice that in the table of contents. So that's another thing that changed come year 2. This changed. So your table of contents looks different. It's a little more labeled, and it'll tell you the subject focus for each lesson. So I thought that was really interesting. Now this one was for the middle school notebook, but it's going to look different based on what notebook you're doing. So your table of contents is going to look different for year 2. Now let's show you some language arts. So what they tried to do with the language arts is here in Creepy Crawlies, and I promise you it looks different every unit, but here with Creepy Crawlies, they tried something new. By giving your spelling words, you got a spelling practice page within your lesson, okay? So they kind of added that in, which is not something I'd seen in some of the previous units. So I thought that was pretty interesting to show you that, because I wanted you to see that the spelling was kind of built in with the second one. Also, let me show you on this page, I was a little more prepared with year 2. When they did grammar, so again, the language arts is sprinkled throughout, so you're hitting all kinds of things. But if you're worried about grammar, this is how grammar was approached in the year 2 units. And I don't know if you can see it super good. I have flip throughs of year 2 units on my channel if you want to check it out. But what they did, like this was all about citations, and they broke it down into day 1, day 2, and day 3. And so if you're, if you wanted to get it all done in one day, you certainly could, because I feel like this whole curriculum is like, make it work for you. But if you didn't want to, on the first day, you could just do day 1. And then when you did the next lesson, you would have a reminder that said, don't forget to go back and do your grammar. And then you would do day 2. So that's how they kind of changed up the grammar for the year 2 units. Check out my flip throughs. You'll get to see what that looks like. But that's just a quick way to show you how they broke up the grammar for the year 2. Something else you're going to notice about year 2, the notebooking pages were better in my opinion. It offered a little bit of variety. We weren't always doing the same thing. And so I do like the notebooking pages better for year 2. Now, something else about year 2 that I like are the narrations. So at the end, I think of every 4th lesson, you have some narration questions. And so you could give these to your kids and let them write the answer. But my favorite is to have conversations, to ask my son these questions and us talk about them. And this is an excellent way to review, and this is built right into the unit, okay? So narration is something different. Oh, and one thing, oh my goodness, I knew I would do this, and I see my note here. In the year 1 student notebooks for the middle school, I know, I'm not sure about high school, people complained of it being too much research for their child. So as they got into year 2, they did lessen the research for the middle school and high school levels. And I can kind of see that now as we're doing year 3 units and my son is finally in the middle school journal, I can see how they've made that so much better. So that is a difference I needed to make sure we talked about. Let's see. Oh, and how could I forget this? All right, so they listened to everybody. Everybody wanted more spelling. Everybody needed just a space for the copy work and all that. So lo and behold, year 2 came out with this. Let me show you this. This, my friend, is your seat work page. These came out with year 2, and this caused a ruckus because people didn't know what to do with it. Number 1, it's just one page. You have one page for each week. So they're like, okay, how are we supposed to use that? You've given us words. You've given us a schedule. You've given us a place to do copy work, but it's one page, and I want my child to do it every day. So you're going to see this question all the time. How do you handle the seat work pages? And as many times as you see that question, you see 1,000 different answers because you need to do what works for you. Sometimes we don't even do the seat work pages. Completely ignore them. But I've done it a variety of ways. I've put the information in a spiral notebook where we just do our copy work and our spelling there. I've made my son some spelling practice pages. You change it up. A lot of people just make enough copies of this page to use for the entire week. Some people laminate this page. So while this was supposed to be helpful, people are still confused about it. So it's for you to use how you want to and if you want to. You can use some or all. It's totally up to you. Don't let this page frustrate you. Use it or lose it. Doesn't matter. Okay? That's year 2. Year 2, only other thing that I noticed that they added that was a little bit different is with Artist, they had a typing notebook that you can buy so your kids can learn typing. So there you go. The cursive still continued into year 2, so you can pick up cursive for those units also. Now, let's start with year 3. Year 3, by far, my favorite. Teacher's guides, amazing. And I don't know if it's because it's written by Rebecca. I don't know. They're amazing. They are so much more pleasant to read. They're so engaging. They're awesome, okay? Other great thing about year 3, now this only started in psychology. So Living Off the Land, Dinosaurs does not have this. But with psychology, she started color coding the teacher's guide. So you can read the information based on your child's attention span. Doesn't matter how old they are, it's how much can they sit through. So it is color coded. I don't know if you can see it. There's yellow, and it's yellow, purple, and teal, I think. So yeah, there's like a teal right there, and then here's purple. And she has a page that explains exactly what you need to do, and you read based on what your child can handle. Genius. That's genius. So that's a great thing about year 3 is the color coding. Another great thing about year 3 is they're adding MP3s. So if you don't want to read the teacher's guide, or your kids are sick of hearing your voice, or whatever it may be, you can find MP3s of these teacher's guides. So you can just purchase that separately and hit play, and there you go. I mean, you don't even have to read if you don't want to. I personally enjoy reading and being right there, with my son. But if you don't want to read, buy the MP3. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Oh, another thing. This is one of my favorites because we were doing a separate devotional like with our other past units, but in the year 3s, the devotion is built right in. You don't even have to buy a separate devotional. You can use this right here before the lesson and get your devotional in. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So, let's see here. I did MP3s, devotions. Writing's more enjoyable. Okay, here we go. I talked about color-coded. This is what I love. This, my friends, is a seat work journal. Now, we didn't start using the seat work journal until we did dinosaurs. And that's only because we didn't finish Living Off the Land. That's another story. But this right here, we did the dinosaur seat work journal and it was fine. So it's got your copy work and your spelling. It's fine. Vocabulary, all that good stuff. But this one for psychology, I really liked. And if you're someone who is a stickler to have your kid to do grammar every day, you're going to want this seat work journal. So you're not going to find cursive notebooks for the year 3 units. You can purchase these seat work journals in manuscript or cursive. Now for us, I'm not worried about his handwriting when he's doing copy work and spelling. I'm worried about his spelling. So I just went with the print version, but you can pick whatever you want to. But if you want grammar every day, you're going to want to do this because this seat work journal, it's got a page for every single day. It has their copy work. It has their spelling. And then on the back, if I could turn the page, you've got their vocabulary. Now that's on the notebooking page. So when we get to the notebooking page, we just mark off the vocabulary because we've already done it. It's got character trait. And then it also has grammar. Every day they work on grammar. Genius. Now, like I said, this is not in the dinosaur one. This is from psychology. And I haven't looked at the entrepreneurship one. I hope it's in there because I love this. I loved him getting just a little dose of grammar every day. It was easy for him. He worked on building stronger sentences. So if you're looking for that, seat work journal it is. And the other great thing about it, unlike the cursive notebooks, you get to pick your level. So I got to pick the middle school level for him. So it was his spelling words, everything. Now, do you need this to be able to do it? Absolutely not. If you've got a system that works for you as far as the seat work pages, if you'll notice, they're already in here. they're in here. And if you have a plan that already works for you, then you probably don't need the Seatwork journal. I just liked it. I liked having something he could do every day that I could just print out one time and it was ready to go and it had grammar on it. So you don't need it, but it's awesome. Just say it, okay? Just so you know. I just want you to know. All right. I think that's everything. And as far as the student notebooks, I feel like as the years progressed, they got better. They got a little more, I don't know, I guess a little more engaging, not so bland. They really just got better. And I'm telling you, the year 3s are great. Now, that's not to say, I've got just this massive mess around me of Gather Round goodness. Don't be afraid to try year 1. Like I said, they are all very different. Even from unit to unit, they're very different. So if you're new to Gather Round, or you've only done year 2, or you've only done year 1, really just try whichever one you want to. It honestly doesn't matter. Let me know. Let me know how you feel about each of the years. Like, which years are your favorite? Which units are your favorite? What are some things that you have noticed from year to year or from unit to unit? Let me know. And if I missed something, if there is something that I did not cover, and you're curious about it, or just you're curious about Gather Round, let me know in the comments below. Be sure to check out my Gather Round. I have a playlist and it's got all kinds of things on it. You're going to find like day in the life videos of us using it. You're going to find flip throughs, all kinds of things. So just let me know. So watch the playlist, leave me a comment, and as always, thank you so much for watching.